Yeah. No, you're 100% right. TL, let me ask you this, because we had a big argument about this on Saturday night on the episode After Dark that Goodman and I did from Bloomington. He is saying that he would probably say Kansas is the second best team in America right now. He thinks Houston wins a national title. And thinks that Kansas is the second best team in America. I can't quite get that far. I think that there's a top tier, and you can make an argument that Kansas belongs in that top tier. You can also make an argument that Kansas does not belong in that top tier. Where do you stand on the Jayhawks? I mean, look, I don't know if there was a more impressive half of basketball that I've seen from anybody this year than outscoring those Baylor Bears by 30, putting up 58 on them in one half. But you had to do that because you were down by 16 in the first half. Like, so I don't know. I don't know where you.
That's this college. That's this college basketball season in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you think like one team is a certain national champion, or not a national title contender, and then they lay an egg in the second half, or they're bad in the first, and then you're like, oh no, what happened to this team, Creighton? And then in the second half, they're blowing everybody up by 30. Like, it's such a good season for all the parity. I like Kansas towards the top because I'm amazed at how good they've been, despite not playing in a traditional sense of what Bill Self usually does. Like, they're still so good. And the fact that you could put that many points up against the Baylor team, that's not a great defensive team, but still have some pieces that can guard. Like, it says a lot about their team. Now, I understand Fog Allen's a tough place to play and all that, but Kansas is Kansas. And Jalen Wilson's been unbelievable this year. If I had to pick a national title contender right now, it's still so hard to do. I think there's tiers. I agree with you. I would not pick Houston right out of the gate. I think they control their controllable things as good as anybody in college basketball. But I just don't think that, they go up against a team that's willing to match or exceed their physicality because they're a little bigger. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility they get beat in the second or third round because of that if they run into the wrong matchup. But at the same time, they could win it. Alabama could make a Final Four run, which they've never done. UCLA is just kind of waiting in the weeds, being great, 23-4, and they've got a lot of pieces. They've got a closer in Jaime Jaquez. They've got different guys that can really defend. Jalen Clark's one of the best wing defenders in the country. Like, I would say there's tiers, and I think the tiers are bigger in terms of having more teams this season than we've had, guys, I want to say, in the past 15 to 20 years.
The closest thing that I can remember it being is the 2020 season that was canceled because of COVID. And we all kind of got to the point by the end of the year where you're like, yeah, it's probably Kansas that's the best team in the country. But you remember, like, San Diego State had Malachi Flynn, and we're just running through everybody. Baylor was awesome. That was the Obi Toppin Dayton team, right? T.O., I just real quick, circling back on Kansas. Seton Hall, yeah.
Seton Hall.
The Fighting Miles Powells. I want to circle back on one thing really quick. DeJuan Harris. Here's a stat. It kind of blew my mind when I looked this up.
Yep.
He's awesome. We know.
Kansas is undefeated this year when he scores 4 points or more. That's all he's got to do. He scores 4 points or more. Kansas is undefeated.
Wow.
Score in their 5 losses. He was scoreless twice, scored 2 points twice, and hit a 3 in another one of them.
That one-ups me. I had 12-0 when he was in double figures. I didn't realize it was 4.
Yeah. So
4 points.
And this is obviously fun with small sample sizes, right? But he played 17 minutes in the first half against Baylor, took 1 shot, was scoreless.
Yep.
They were down by 16 at one point in the first half. Second half, 6 of 7 from the floor, 6 assists, 1 turnover, 14 points, hit 2 threes, was getting to the bucket, had a couple of like those ridiculous kind of floating, spinning. I don't know how you got that English on the layups. I know how good they are when they have him playing well, T.O., but like when he's not, that happens too often for me to really feel comfortable saying, okay, I can fully buy in on them being as good as anybody in the country when you know that this guy is capable of like just not showing up for some games. And that's probably putting it a little harshly. I said that a little more harshly than I meant to say it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I love how you pillowed it up a little bit, make it nice and soft whenever you're using your critique. Big fan of that. He's only played poorly 5 times. Like, that's the thing. Like, and
5 times out of 26 games means one out of every 5 games, which means like
that's right.
Yeah. So
they're an Elite 8. They're an Elite 8 bust, is what you're saying.
Yeah. There you go. Good math from you, Theo.
Yeah, I'm coming after you right now. I'm just pissed because I don't have a Twitter. So everything I say right now is taken with a grain of salt. I can't clap back at anything. I'm just catching shrapnel through text messages. Like that's all I get. And then all of a sudden I'll get a text message from somebody saying something from Doss or be like, here's Twitter Blue subscriber. He got hacked anyway. It doesn't matter. So like yeah, I
did tweet that. I did tweet that.
Unreal.
No,
Like,
but look,
yeah. So that's
hold
why
on. I'll let you finish your point.
I forgot the question.
But the fact that you got hacked literally an hour before Elon made the change where you had to subscribe to Twitter Blue to be able to get the 2-factor, and you're subscribed to Twitter Blue is just it's so funny and it's so perfect. And
I think I got that notification and I declined it. Should I have accepted it? I didn't.
I'm gonna end up just paying for it. Like it in total, it's like it ends up being $80 for the whole year, and it sucks. But that having that Twitter account,
it's more confidence that you're not $11 a month.
No, they changed it. It's if you pay for the whole year for Twitter Blue now, because I just did it for both of the accounts. It ends up being $7 a month, $84 for the whole year, or you pay $8 a month monthly installments. We were talking about I don't even know what. Should we just move on?
DeJuan Harris, but let me say this.
Ben has been waiting 10 minutes to make this point.
So here's the thing. Terrence is so right on college hoops in a nutshell was summed up by the Baylor-Kansas game. Because Baylor convinced everybody in that first 20 minutes that they can win a national championship. Now, some of their true colors showed defensively in the second half because when they started to not make shots, typically Scott Drew's best teams have been able to then still stand up on the defensive end of the floor. That did not happen once Kansas started converting. Now, does Allen Fieldhouse have something to do with it? Yes. Guys, it felt like college hoops heaven from a TV viewing standpoint. I watched the game on Saturday, and just listening to Allen Fieldhouse in that second half, holy cow. Like it felt like vintage college basketball, but in 2023, which is great for the sport. That was such a terrific advertisement for the sport. And it was a terrific advertisement for Kansas. Not only, DeJuan Harris is the most important player on this team, and when he had a catch and shoot three, at one point in the second half, Grady Dick had a look from three. And Grady's IQ just fits Bill Self's system. He comes off of a fake, dribbles to his left. He kicks to Harris, who is wide open. Baylor was leaving him open. He cans that triple. At the time Kansas went up 5 or 8, that was it. Because when DeJuan Harris is hitting perimeter shots, good night. Good night. Jalen Wilson performed like an All-American. To me, though, if Harris is the most important player, the underlying key to this Kansas team, like it's the part of the car that you would have trouble identifying that it wasn't working if you were trying to repair the car, but then you figured it out at the end of the day and you said, oh, wait a minute, that was it. That was what was going wrong. The underlying key for Kansas is KJ Adams and his ability to take on the front court role that Bill Self has given him and run with it. That was a massive question for this team entering the season. He goes for 17 points on Saturday. In the second half, he asserted himself. He helped will that team. He runs the floor like a deer. The guy gets up and down. He's mobile. And as a result, it's made this small ball lineup dangerous, really dangerous. Because when Kansas gets it going, and Harris has it going, at that point, you can no longer play them 5-on-4. You really are in a tough spot defensively. And on Saturday, that was showcased.
To go back on the DeJuan, that's what we were talking about. And Fanta is absolutely right about KJ Adams. But it's I don't know how in the world he was left off the Bob Cousy award list, like the top 10 finalists. Like how is that possible? What are we overseeing here?
He was
left off. Yeah.
I'm not a voter on that list, so I cannot comment.
Yeah. I don't know how that was missed, but he is so important and he's so good and solid for that team. Like it's pretty amazing, really, like what he's able to do and contribute. He's the best probably the best point guard defender in that league. And if you're the best point guard defender in that league, you're one of the best point guard defenders in college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
He puts everybody in the right spot. He's unselfish. He does have to make a shot, and he showed that he's capable of that. And to be honest with you guys, like, he's one of my favorite players that I don't think gets talked about enough. And I had some people clap back. He's been talked about way too much. No, he hasn't, guys. No, he hasn't. That's the issue.
About
like,
the wrong way.
He is
He's been
deserving
talked
of
about
more.
the wrong way. Like that's the thing.
Right.
The conversation always tends towards, well, you don't trust their point guard play. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what it, which is, I don't know.
Yeah, whoever's saying that is wrong. Wildly incorrect.
I kind of agree with it to a point where, like, you know how good he is, but it's, I mean, I said what I said before. Like, he needs to be great, and there's been some inconsistencies, and I don't know if that's necessarily a confidence thing, or maybe he went through that week and he had a bum ankle, you know, because a lot of that stuff happened like a 2-week stretch. So maybe he had a bum ankle that we just didn't know about, but
sure,
the thing. But he's very good. All right,